You're watching the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
You've just spent a monumental amount of time to get the guest, one that can completely change the trajectory of your podcast's future. Or, well, maybe let's just say it's a good guest. It's going to be great for your podcast, going to give you something great to your listeners. No problem at all. By the way, it's okay if you misspell the guest's name inside of all of your propaganda. Or is it? We're going to dig in deep and talk about some great stories inside of this episode of the Podcast Gauntlet, where we throw down, discuss, rise and shine in podcasting. Greetings, everybody. I'm Mike Wilkerson, one of your hosts.
And I'm Bryan Entzminger, the other one of your hosts.
That gent right over there is Bryan Entzminger. Boy, we got a doozy tonight.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite as special as being able to share the stories of doom inside of your podcast. And man, have we got a whopper tonight.
For sure.
One of the things that I think all of us are plagued with every now and again, especially when we're in a hurry, got to get it done quick. Otherwise, it's not going to be good enough, is misspelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that I always have trouble with, especially with my fat brown and served sausage fingers, is the word that on my phone. No idea. It never comes out right. Even the idiot thick spellingness of whatever the hell I'm using on my phone doesn't find it. It just happens. But I've found that it now is an indicator that people can recognize me by when I'm sending text messages. So that in case they ever thought it might not be me sending the text message, all they have to do is wait for the word that to appear. And now they know. Who'd have figured that would be the Wilkerson calling card, right? All right. Yeah. So now to the juicy story of awesome. All right. So it's last year, October. I'm planning a wonderful episode of Two Guys Talking Guns. I'm bringing on a gentleman from the great white north of Canada. His name, Sean Pollock. He's a wonderful crisis negotiator that I've been working with for years now. Can't wait to bring him on and talk about his 270 Cooper rifle. It's gonna be chef's kiss for all the people that love family, legacy, hunting, and that time of year. Because guys, you know, maybe you don't, that November is the time you go hunting. It's gonna be great. So, got it captured, no problem. Time to publish the episode. Great, let's publish that episode. All right, so first things first. Bryan over there is able to square away all of the wondrous resources that we have for the Podcast Gauntlet stuffs, and so all of that's squared away. Right next to that is the folder for everything Two Guys Talking Guns. I dig in there. I find the stock art of Mr. Pollock, who is literally standing in front of 4 heads of the beasties that he's been able to harvest for his family and their eating habits over the course of many years now, taking his family in stride, building legacy, building family time with those who he hunts with. Awesome. It's great. So I got this terrific picture. And on the picture, I put Sean Pollock, father, author, crisis negotiator. And of course, I send him the draft of the photo. Now, remember, because it's podcast editor, podcast creator, content creator time, it's about 1:45 in the morning when I send this picture.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so, I begin crafting all of the wonderfully custom announcements about Mr. Pollock's arrival on the television, on the podcast. It's going to be epic. It is epic because it's already edited and ready to go. My God, it's already on YouTube. My God, it's pushed out via the engine, via my WordPress install, via the wonderful host of Blueberry that I've been using for decades. It's perfect. Everything is perfect. Until Mike goes to spy on the draft that I sent Sean, that is the master art that literally says Sean Pollock on it.
Mm.
And the horror that arrives inside of the Wilkerson brain is epic. Because I'm like, wait a minute. And like, it is that moment where everybody has had some of this at some point where you feel your life's pause button go. because now you have to reconnoiter all of the time, effort, and put getting after it in front forward to get it all fixed. Starting with, of course, deleting the text message that contains the draft message to Mr. Polak.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. And so anyway, the reason why I'm telling you this is not just to out me of one of the largest mistakes that I've made, that thankfully somehow nobody spotted.
Wow.
Nobody. And I have to totally give that to the time that I was working. Nobody, if it was just nobody saw it, or the 10 or so different places that I put out either announcements or pimping my episode content, nobody saw anything before I could remove it and replace it. And again, for those that don't know, it isn't just like going in and dropping a new image in everywhere. No. It doesn't work that way in almost everywhere. Oh, and the other giant brilliant part was that the text inside the episode also had the wrong spelling. So what that means is that now the video's got to be completely re-rendered. And the episode length is not trivial. I think it's 129 minutes. I mean, it's a great discussion. We'll also have a link down here in the description. Awesome that you can go and listen and watch and see the glory of Wilkerson recovery. But the reason that we're talking about this, guys, is because you got to make time for the details before you push the publish button. Otherwise, all bets are off.
Yeah.
And it all has to rewind. Bryan?
Yeah, so I've never had that particular error, although I'm not above having made errors. The one that sticks into my mind as a host, my first show, the Engaging Missions show, I was interviewing somebody who was a missionary to Ukraine. He was in the U.S. at the time, and we were going to talk, and I had done some research, and I introduced him as the president of a particular organization, and he had to stop me part of the way through and go, actually, I'm connected to them, but I'm not the president. And like, that was a little bit of egg on my face, although to be fair, I was researching and it did appear that that was the case. But what that led to then is the same kind of thing I do if I ever make a mistake, whether it's uploading the wrong file or forgetting to put it in Dropbox for a client or something like that. It then changes my process, right? So if I forget to load a file to Dropbox for a client, I add a checkbox to my process and I go, did you upload the file? I know it sounds stupid, but I do it. And that way I make sure that I don't make that same mistake twice, or if I've made it twice, I don't make it a third time, that kind of thing. In this case, I then changed my process to when I'm interviewing somebody, especially somebody I've never met before. You know, we have our couple of minutes in the green room where we're checking audio levels, making sure he's comfortable or she's comfortable, talking about what's going to come up. Are there any specific things we shouldn't talk about for whatever reason? Because especially with people who are working cross-culturally, you have to be careful about that kind of stuff. Then the next thing I would say was, these are the things that I've found as I've been researching. I just want to make sure when I introduce you, am I talking about the right things? I'm not asking them to write the guest bio for me. I'm not asking for, their 6,000 word essay about themselves. I'm just going, hey, I'm going to introduce you. This is what I believe to be true about you based on what I know and what I've found. Is any of this wrong, or is there any part of this that I should leave out for whatever reason, right? Because my job as the host, I'm not a name and shame host. I'm not a shock jock. I'm bringing them on to create hopefully entertaining, but also something that paints them in a great light. And so I want to do that. And so I guess my question back to you, Mike, is, okay, you've made this mistake taking someone whose name is Polak and having made him now a person from Poland and changing everything, right? What did that change about your process? Other than just, I'm going to slow down now?
Well, the slowing down part is paramount, but there's something else. And I know that this is also, and really it's the reason why we're talking about this, is I know that especially in just the last couple of years, if not just the last several months, some of you have now evoked and are incorporating something that is AI generated based something. Okay. Yeah. And as much as I would have loved to have thrown it on, it heard the word Polak and made it Polak. Mm-hmm. The machine didn't do it, dude. I did it. Because it was in the art and it was in the spelling of his name that I typed into Camtasia inside of the text, click the T and it's a blinking T and I type in the wrong word. And it was absolutely on me. And it's slowing down, but then also building new paths that perhaps you visit, but you don't visit it often enough. The sample is you and I have been doing the Podcast Gauntlet now with video, I think since inception. And I think it's only because we've been capturing it since inception.
Right. I don't think we ever intended to publish the video first off, but then quickly went to why not?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, like there's another wonderful program seed, by the way. Why not?
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it inside of our last program. By the way, thank you to all of you that have watched that program. It actually broke the record bank for the Podcast Gauntlet content. We'll leave a link to that down in the description for this episode too. The gist though is what it helped me understand was two things, and one is good. One is you gotta slow down and take your time and look at what you're doing. That's the first thing that is it's the golden moment, right?
Yeah.
That you have to pay attention to. However, there's a second one that's good, but it's also got that weird little double-edged swordness of working online. And the answer is, but I fixed it.
Yeah.
And nobody knew. So is it because I'm such a great quick worker that I could go back and fix everything and remove everything and get it all up before somebody noticed or said, why did you call Sean a Polak instead of Pollock?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I think I probably lucked out totally that I was working in the middle of the night when likely very few, although again, law enforcement representatives who are a large portion of my audience, they could be working overnight. They may not be looking at something, so they don't actually notice it. So, that might be a piece of it. But man, it becomes the nugget, and kind of one of the things I also wanted to talk about inside of this show is another program that I would love to germinate. Although I think what we're eventually going to do is we're going to make it a vein of this program. I think it fits perfectly because this fits perfectly. What we're talking about right now, this is a piece of what I think people would be very interested in. Not only what the problem was, but then also what the potential or what the fix was. Yeah. So that if they eventually experience it, then they too can benefit from that. And it's a concept that I developed about the same time I wanted to come up with the Podcast Gauntlet, and it's called the Podcaster Debrief. And this is something that I actually passed this through Todd Cochran about a year and a half before he died. He said, dude, that's a great idea. And the concept is this. There is a wonderful podcast video program called the Pilot Debrief. We'll link it down here inside of the show notes because it is tremendous. Essentially what this guy is doing, he's a former, I think he was an F-15 or F-18 pilot. And what he is doing is he's running through what are, in almost every single case, a case of a plane crash where people are dead. It all went from, I'm flying, dead. And that's what all of them are. The difference is, though, he runs through all of it. And with his experience, not only as a pilot, but along with his, what I think are incredible narrational skills of the skills and the perspective and he's had his ass in seats, very much like what he is trying to describe. He's able to bring you into the story and tell you, especially as an aspiring pilot, if you are, but then also anybody that happens to listen, you're engaged in the storytelling anyway, because it's a story of you should be more careful. And so I think that's what we're eventually going to work in here, is that we're going to work in the Podcaster Podcaster Debrief. This would be the initial episode of the Podcaster Debrief. Because it's when it's all going great and then it's not. And it's shit, right? It's all gone absolutely downhill and dead, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a tremendous asset that I think many people can benefit from, not only just in the podcaster space, but really anywhere. Because I think all of us have made that mistake whether it's inside of online content or not. You've turned in a report where you blew the name of the place that you're going to go have this giant annual meeting at, or the name of a prominent featured guest that's coming to speak at a keynote, or whatever. The flyer where you blew the spelling on the flyer, where you got the name of the place that it's going to be at wrong, or you just spelled like the jackass word. I spelled lane wrong. Okay, well, you did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I so much love that, because I know that, especially when I hear about people experiencing a problem and then either a potential fix or that it's just an out there cautionary tale, I think that those things are valuable.
As you're sharing that, it's reminding me of something not podcast related that happened when I was in college. I went to college to be a musician, a music teacher, and I played the saxophone. And I remember one year, as I was getting to the midterm, it's not really a recital, but there's like a recital where you have to perform for several professors. They make sure that you can do your stuff. You have to write a little research project on one of the people whose piece you're performing, that kind of thing. And I was performing a piece by Tuttle, which is kind of irrelevant, except that was the guy's name. And I didn't do the research until the night before. And so I was writing that paper. The library was closed. Everything was closed up. And I get to the next day and I hand in my little research paper. It's like 2 paragraphs. It's not much, right? I mean, that was what was expected. They're like, you do realize you spelled his name right. Like one of the very few people who actually wrote solo music for the saxophone, because most classical compositions that are played on the saxophone were originally written for another instrument, because the saxophone didn't exist before that, at that time. So they're writing them, they're moving them around so you can play them. This guy was a 20th century guy. He wrote stuff for the saxophone. I spelled his name wrong. And thankfully, like they're like, well, how would you feel if somebody spelled your name? I was like, well, you've seen my name. Everybody misspells my name. But, not like that could have affected my grade. Thankfully, they had a pretty good, they're pretty kind about it. But it's one of those things where you go, in the moment, talk about the stomach hitting the floor and your throat being at the bottom of your stomach going, Like, what do you say? The library was closed, right? You're just stuck there.
Yeah, man. The spelling of a name wrong, man. It's I guess I have been the victim of it. Everyone that I meet will go, so it's what was your name again?
Mike.
It's Wilkerson. I mean, like I don't feel like it's any kind of like, it's not a leapfrog name, right? You're just Wilkerson. I'm the son of Wilker,
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go, right, so Wilkinson, right? No, that's not my name. It's kind of like the razor blades, right? No, it's not like the Wilkinson razor. No, It's not. It's Wilkerson, Wilkerson, and that doesn't happen often. And I would surely play it off as a joke. I would never take any offense to it.
Sure.
But man, I love your story. There's several reasons why I love your story. One, the word Tuttle.
I didn't name him.
No one will know this because only you and I have ever talked about it. And now that it has been issued inside of a publicly issued thing, everyone will know. Bryan and I have a reasonably large love for the television show MASH.
Oh, man. We were just watching that.
I'll bet you were. And for those that have never met Captain Tuttle, I will take my hat off a moment for him. Anyway, the Magical MASH Moments podcast is something that I still have conjured. I have an entire notes built on it that I will eventually splash on Bryan, because I have not taken off my might have to do that hat because, man, what a wonderful show. Anyway, Captain Tuttle. All right, so there's that. And then the other thing is the library, dude. Can you remember a time when you simply could not access information unless there was a building that was open that you could go and access via a Dewey Decimal System?
Yeah.
Imagine us telling that to people that are watching right now. In fact, that's actually a great initial call to the audience. How many of you listening right now not only can't imagine the concept of there not being access to a 24/7 library that you can dial into from your cell phone or a computer system or a Chromebook in your backpack right now, Or worse yet, you've never heard the words Dewey Decimal System. Man, I would love to hear from you. Go over to our website over at podcastgauntlet.com. Type in a few sentences, if you can, and tell us all about those two things inside of what we're talking about inside this episode. Bryan, I think what I want to wrap up with this episode is just to encourage people to remember we're all going to make mistakes. And what I always hope everybody will take from them, especially the ones that cost you dearly or cost you a lot of money, is that there's still lessons, and that the lessons have to be used to then build to do better. There's always a piece of recovery when you fail. At least for me, there is. I don't have any problem admitting that I've made some sort of mistake somewhere, especially when it's something like that. I'm just really, really glad that no one notices. So anyway, the bottom line is that no matter when or if you make mistakes, know that you too are going to make mistakes. It's all going to go wrong at some point, but you got to pick yourself back up, dust off your shoulders, and get back after it. Until next time, I'm Mike Wilkerson, one of your hosts.
And I'm Bryan Entzminger, the other one of your hosts.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.